The Illusive Man, also called Tim for short, is an enigmatic figure that first gets introduced in Mass Effect 2, and during the trilogy, he becomes a central character in the grand story of Mass Effect. Before we delve deeper into his origins, I'm just gonna ask you to smash that like button, and don't forget to comment below after you've watched the video. In all honesty, it helps recommend the video to other people. Thank you very much. The Illusive Man was not always a cold, calculated man with synthetic eyes. No, he was once a young man who helped putting humanity on the galaxy map. Around 35 years before the events of the Mass Effect trilogy, humanity discovered the Charon Relay in our own solar system. After discovering the relay and Mass Effect technology, humanity progressed quickly into a true spacefaring race. This inevitably put them into contact with the Turian race, which immediately became a hostile situation. As many of you know, this situation was called the Relay 314 incident by the Turians, and by humanity it was called the First Contact War. Among the human participants in this brief incident, or war as humanity liked to call it, was a man whose name was Jack Harper. Jack was not an ordinary soldier, but a mercenary, and with him were two of his friends, namely Ben Hislop and Ava Corey. Jack and his team was under the command of General Williams, also known as Ashley Williams' grandfather. In the later stages of the First Contact War, Jack and his team defended Shanxi, a colonized planet that was under occupation by the Turians. During the occupation, Jack, Ava, and Ben managed to capture a Turian general, namely Decius Arterius. And you might recognize his name. Yes, Decius was the brother of Saren Arterius, the main antagonist in Mass Effect 1. After capturing Decius and his forces, Jack discovers that Decius was searching for something on Shanxi. This thing turns out to be a strange artifact that is being guarded by figures in robes. Jack and his teammate Ben proceeds in neutralizing the guards, and upon closer inspection of the guards, Ben reaches for the artifact, and as he does, the artifact activates, and energy shoots out through Ben's body, seemingly killing him. Worse yet, Jack tries to stop him, but it is too late, and upon making physical contact with Ben, also gets struck by the energy and is knocked unconscious. The artifact seems to have had adverse effects on Jack, as he now starts seeing mysterious visions and hearing voices in his head. An ominous voice, telling him that he has a choice, to hide or to accept his fate. They are coming. The crazy thing is that Jack had been knocked out for so long that the First Contact War had already reached its end. Thankfully, the Citadel Council intervened before the conflict turned into a full-scale war. Jack wasn't about to lay down his arms just yet though, as he had become convinced that something fishy was going on with the artifacts and the Turian guards. Because not only had Decius Arterius been searching for the artifact, but it seemed that he had some form of control over the mystical guards, which concerned Jack greatly. So in secret, General Williams sent Jack on a mission to figure out what was going on. During his journey to Ilium with Eva at his side, Jack suffered more and more from the visions of the future, of things that were yet to come. So to Ilium they went, where Jack knew that Decius and his guards had taken the strange artifact. How did he know this? Well, after making contact with the artifact, Jack somehow gained the ability to understand alien language, and so he overheard the conversation one of the mystical guards had with Decius. Upon reaching Ilium, Jack could immediately understand Asari language without any form of technology, making Eva suspicious. During their visit, they get into a confrontation with Saren and the mysterious guards. While battling each other, Jack stops and realizes that he's fighting Ben, who's been reanimated somehow. Jack and Eva gets captured by Saren and are taken back to a Turian vessel that's headed for Palaven, which is the Turian homeworld. Aboard the ship, Ben manages to communicate with Jack, telling him that the artifact is called the Arca Monolith. Ben seemingly has some form of intelligence left, but seems to not know Jack anymore. His mind too deteriorated to remember. Upon reaching Palaven, Decius reveals that he will use the artifact to evolve the Turian race, which Jack knew was a bad idea. Upon trying to make Decius change his mind, he realizes that it's futile to try. Decius proceeds with the so-called ritual, and as he does, Jack tries to tell Saren that he needs to stop his brother, before it's too late. Saren decides to listen to Jack and calls in a squadron to deal with the already forcibly evolved Turians. As the fighting starts, Desolace tries to control the evolved Turians only to realize that he has no control over them whatsoever, and gets thrown across the room. The evolved Turians get destroyed, and in the commotion, Jack and Eva make a run for their ship, carrying Ben on their shoulders. Unfortunately, Ben is too heavy and his life is fading, so Eva decides to shoot the artifact in a desperate try to destroy it, which compels Ben to tackle her in order to protect it. The tackle is so powerful that it sends Eva into a wall and seemingly kills her. In a confused sorrow, Ben realizes what he's done, and in a rage he charges Desolace and pushes him and himself into the artifact, which kills Ben and knocks Desolace unconscious. Jack leaves with Eva in his arms, who proves to still be alive, and just a few moments later, Saren detonates a remote-controlled explosion in the room with the artifact, killing his brother Desolace and destroying the Arca monolith along with any evolved Turian. An unspecified time later, an Illusive Man publishes his manifesto and founds the organization by the name of Cerberus, a watchdog to guard the race of man. As you can see, the Illusive Man's backstory is explored in the Mass Effect Evolution comics. It's pretty nice to see him having a background and know sort of where he's coming from. On a personal note, I do feel that he still remains somewhat elusive. What I mean by that is that even if we see his backstory, we still haven't really gotten the full picture of how he's thinking. He was affected by the artifact and it seems to have changed him into a somewhat different person. And because of his experiences in the First Contact War, he puts humanity first. Yet, he never seemed to have been xenophobic, as he's not above working with other species, like he did with Saren in the end. It's also worth noting that the Illusive Man, or Jack, seems to have had a good heart from the beginning, as he only wanted to look out for his friends at first. Also, he wasn't even a normal soldier, but a mercenary, which points to the direction that he maybe didn't care too much about humanity as a whole. But after being affected by the monolith, his way of thinking changed. The comics also explore Saren's character more, giving him more depth as a person. But that's a video for another day. Now, as you might have noticed, I've skipped some parts from the comics that add additional context. But seeing as I don't want to spoil everything for you, I kept some of that out. A lot of you watching knows where his story ends, but for everyone who's new to the Mass Effect universe, I do hope this helps when you actually do finally get introduced to the Illusive Man. I've left an Amazon link down below if you want your own copy of Mass Effect Evolution. By the way, what do you think about the Illusive Man? Do you like him as a character? Do you think he should be explored more? Or do you just like him being elusive? And as always, remember to subscribe to the Sven Squad. As always, have a good one.